Okay. Now, we have a plus here and we have a check mark here. What we have here is a grouping feature for these elements. And these elements contain a title, a picture, and some text. And that's, sort of what we would normally see if we were doing a description of an article or we were describing a product or talking about an event. We don't have to use all these elements, but they all exist for us. We may elect to just put in text, in which case we don't fill in the picture, we don't fill in the headline. But we have the option to do that. If I want to put in a second element or a second group of elements, actually we should just call these group of elements because that's really what they are. If I wanted a second group of elements, which would represent, say, a second story or a second product or some other thing, I would select the plus button and click on it, and you would see underneath we get a whole nother series of elements. And we could have a third story and a fourth story. So now we have 4 potential stories. We have one that we've already written, and then we have 3 others that are available to us. And if I was to lock up the icon, which takes us out of editing mode, what would we see? We would see there's the one story shows up, and then we would see these separators and story 2, story 3, story 4. So as long as those elements exist, I will see those separators. If I don't want to see the separators, then I'm simply going to delete the elements. And I delete them by hitting the trash can. So I select the trash can, I say get rid of that, and it does. Get rid of this story, and it does. And get rid of this story, and it does. So this is how we add content in terms of stories or groups of content into our web page, by selecting the plus sign, and up come the elements, and we vary the elements. And then another plus sign, and we get another story. Okay. Now suppose we wanted to rearrange these stories. Say we didn't want that one to be the top story. Well, the way we do that is we select this up and down button, and it tells this element which direction to move. So I'm going to move this element up. So now we see this element is on top, and this one is in the middle. And maybe I want this on the bottom. So I'll select this one, and it'll move it down one. So we see how these 2 up and down buttons allow us to arrange the stacking order of our story within the web page, and that's what they're used for. Okay, one last thing to show you, and that is this element with the checkbox, and I want you to pay particular attention to this. If I deselect the checkbox like this, and deselect the checkbox like this, and deselect the checkbox like this, you will see that all of the content in our editing mode we can view. However, if I log out of our editing mode, nothing shows up. Now how come? That's because the checkbox that we were viewing and using controls the viewing or not of those elements. So if I just want to see this story, I select that and I say, okay, here we go. This story will now show up. Click on my checkbox, and it does. Okay. And now I will go down to here, and I'm going to change this to title test. And I'll click on save, so that'll give us a headline. And maybe I'll just come into my home text here, and I'm just going to put in some text. This is a test of the text box and how it works, and I'll save it. Or maybe what I'll do is I'll just copy a bunch of that in for you so that we can get some placeholder text. And I'll make this first one a headline, which I will do by selecting it as a heading 2 size. We'll call it that. And then I'll go save. And it now saves that text. So here we see there's some text here. And now we'll go into our editing mode, and that doesn't appear. But back out of editing mode, select the check marks, back into editing, back out of editing mode, and it does appear. So that's how that works. It's very useful if we are doing editing and we don't get to finish it. So it's a work in progress. So we can start it, deselect the checkbox, and it's there the next time we come in and we edit. So that is how we edit our websites. Now, these editing elements exist in various areas. So here we see it in the sidebar. So I'm just going to put sidebar, and we'll click save. And now the sidebar shows up, and we'll come into here and we'll just, actually we have something in here already called link to anchor, which is kind of a neat thing to have. Okay, so I'm going to come out of that one, and I'm going to come down to here, and we'll just put some more of that text that we had before from my clipboard, and there it is. It all shows up. Okay, and maybe we'll just to demonstrate, we'll put in a very small logo here. That saves it. We'll call it logo, and we'll save it and bring it up. And now we'll come out of editing mode. And there we see it. So this is how we add content. Quickly, just to answer some questions that often come up about this. If you're editing content on this page, can other people see you doing the editing? And the answer is no, they can't. They can only see the results of your edit after you have saved it. They do not see the actual editing mode that you're working in. So you can go ahead and edit your website, and other people, as many as you wish, can look at the website, and as I said, they will only see work that you have saved. Can multiple people edit the website? Yes, you can. You can have any number of people come into the website as long as they have the credentials to log on, and the two of you can be editing your website at the same time. But again, the caveat is that you will only see what's been saved by that particular editor. So it's quite robust, very simple to use, and I think that you'll be quite pleased using it. So this is Dan Thompson with Image Video Services, thanking you for attending this tutorial, and I encourage you to check back for our next tutorial, which is titled Editing Your Web Page with CK Editor. Bye for now.